Hello you beautiful people, welcome to your weekly general with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. Remember, this is an overview, it's a general reading for everybody. It's kind of like the overarching energy trends and themes. Please, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit the subscribe button. And if you are new to my channel, if you're a continued subby, you know I love you for it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So before we get into the cards, when I went into my intuition today, what I saw was like, you know, one of those things where it's like slowed down and you see someone moving in slow motion. Well, they were turning and it's like this woman's dress had kind of flowed out. And it's really weird because it wasn't a specific person, but the way her dress kind of fanned out, it looked like stars, and then like the whole thing had expanded and it looked like stars that were sort of orbiting around a planet. And the message that I got from that was, from the turning and the pattern, was take a moment to enjoy the patterns and the cycles. So life moves in cycles, it moves in circles, it moves in patterns. Human beings are cyclic beings by their very nature. You know, seasons, reasons, timings, and all of that good stuff. And sometimes, you know, when we're going through something, or we've had, when you've had a challenging time, you're like, oh, you know, this happens all of the time. Like the pattern is always the same, or the cycle is always the same. Take a moment this week to observe the cycles and patterns that you've been in, that you've been through. Take a moment to ask yourself, or really to acknowledge how beautiful they actually are. Sometimes when you acknowledge the cycles and the patterns that you've been in, rather than trying to fight against them or to change them or judge them or whatever, you come into a space of internal peace. And I think this week, that's what the universe is trying to give us. If you can find it in yourself to say, okay, you know what, the pattern, the cycle, the circle, the energy that I've been through, that I'm locked in, that I experience every so often, has taught me something. And sometimes the way that you get off the merry-go-round is by realizing that the ride is over. Sometimes the way that the path to your best healing or being healed is to acknowledge that you're healed and stop trying to heal yourself. Sometimes you have to be there. Sometimes you have to acknowledge the cycle and the pattern to know, or to live the experience of it being done. All right. So let's have a look for our destiny card. The overarching trend, energy, or theme for the week ahead is the Star card, right? Interesting, because we've got a full moon in Aquarius this week, so it makes total sense. The fact that we have the Star card as well, this is always that glimpse into the future, right? Or as Nico from Son of Celine always says, that's what he calls himself now. He used to be Scarlet Moon. As he always says, look, with the Star card, you get a little bit now and you get a whole lot of it later. For me, this is like a glimpse. You get to see into the future, or see how something's going to shape up, what the results might be. This is also a card that deeply connects you to people. It deeply connects you to the world. And it's funny because in my vision, that's what I saw, like stars that were coming off the dress, and then the dress kind of turned into a planet, which I think kind of looked a little bit like Jupiter. But the message that I'm taking from that is that by observing those patterns and those cycles, not only do you see the challenges that you've had, but you see the beauty of those cycles and how the intricate web of life we are woven into really, you know, can give us hints and tips and tricks to understand what's likely to come next. That's how all of the divinatory arts work. They time the tarot, astrology, numerology. It's all about patterns and cycles. And when you can tie yourself into those rhythms, you can anticipate what comes next. You can feel where things are likely to go next. So pay attention to the feelings that you have, the dreams that you have, the conversations that you have. Pay attention to the conversations that you see happening online, especially. Why? Because the Star card is all things technological. It's very often social media, the digital arts, all of that stuff. Pay attention to what comes up in those ways, like things that catch your eye on social media, that you know, trends of conversations that come up, because that's going to give you a hint at what's coming up for you next. All right, so for the direction cards, let's have a look at how we best utilize this star energy, or what we can do with it. All right, and we have the Fool card: new things, places, people, and energy. And this really comes back to what I was saying earlier. If you want to step off of the merry-go-round, you have to acknowledge that the ride is over, right? So take a moment to do that. With the Ace of Cups, for those of you that are trying for babies, trying to get pregnant, this is a powerful week for it. And then we've got the Page of Pentacles. This is a gorgeous energy. This is the energy of new life. This is the energy of fresh starts, new beginnings, new directions. The fact that this is utilizing the Star card energy with the Fool card, that is a new tribe, a new era of your life, an understanding of who or what you're likely to be connected to next. With the Ace of Cups and the Star card, that's the hope for the future and birthing something new that you have wanted to create for a long time, but maybe didn't have the time, the energy, the money, the resources. You add these two together, that is conception. The Fool card is a start point, a pure potential. The aces are pure potential. You couple that with the Ace of Cups, this is new love. For some of you, you could be meeting somebody new online. You could be meeting a new tribe online, new friends online, absolutely. Then you've got the Page of Pentacles. The best way that we utilize this Star card energy is to do what you can about learning something new this week, right? So yes, acknowledge the moment, acknowledge the patterns and the cycles, and then say to yourself, what have I learned from this? What can I assimilate into my current experience to build my future based on what I know of my past? This is a really beautiful spread, actually, especially that Page of Pentacles with the Cups, with the Ace of Cups even. That for me is kind of, it's birth energy, it's pregnancy energy, but it's also bodes very well for new businesses that are started this week, new endeavors, picking back up on a course that you had, you know, maybe fallen behind on. This is really bringing something into a new direction. For some of you, this could literally be about astrology as well. You've got the Fool card there. You would expect it to be the sun, but that combination as well kind of speaks to it. So fantastic. And then for our insight cards, what is going on behind the scenes that we might need to know, be aware of? Ooh, jumping card. Okay, what we need to be aware of is the Knight of Swords. So remember, this card always says to you, don't be too hasty. And it also suggests meetings this week. If people ask you to meet up, if people ask you to do a Google Hangout, or you know, anything of that nature, this would be a great week for it. Finding tribes, connecting with people, talking to people, creating meetings, turning up to Zoom, you know, platform meetings or Teams meetings and all the rest of it. Highly favored. The other thing as well, this, because it's an insight card, is like what's going on behind the scenes that we might not be aware of or need to know. The Knight of Swords suggests that this week you might be pushed for an answer prematurely. Don't let someone or something or some entity do that for you. You take your sweet time. Then we've got the Queen of Swords coupled with the Star card. Check in with your Aquarius people this week, whether they're your sisters, your aunts, brothers, cousins, whatever. Your Aquarius people have information for you this week, and it's really interesting that that comes up because we've got the full moon in Aquarius. Now, why do I say that? Queen of Swords, usually an air sign woman, Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. Star card in close proximity, Aquarius woman, but could just as easily be an Aquarius person that has a bit of a femininity about them. So you've got this coupled with the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords can also sometimes be fast, aggressive communication. Because of what we know about the patterns and the cycles, I'm going to say this. Don't let what makes you anxious make you make a rash decision. All right, this week, take your time. Don't let things, people, or energies or situations even goad you into acting out of character. Now, because you've got the Queen of Swords coupled with this could be some interesting or very harsh words that are spoken. I think this week as well, don't be surprised if we see on the news or the wider world stage, we're going to be privy to a conversation that's happened where somebody is bad mouthing somebody or speaking really bad to them. As an example, I don't know if anybody remembers, like a few years ago, somebody had left the microphone on underneath the Prince Charles and his boys, and he was basically slagging off all the reporters that were stood in front of them, and he didn't realise that it was on. It's that kind of energy. I think this is either going to be a celebrity, maybe a powerful person. Something's coming forward this week where information that, you know, the average Joe public weren't supposed to have, it's been recorded, it's been overheard, it's been, you know, maybe camera recorded from an angle where they didn't know they were being filmed. Something like that this week is very likely to hit in the public sphere. We've got the King of Pentacles, right? So the other thing, I mean, with the King of Pentacles, this is very often somebody that's well known and can be a celebrity. So my money is on that. That's on the wider world stage. On a more personal level, this is about you sticking to your guns or standing your ground. But it's about doing it in a way that is more controlled rather than explosive. Now, with these cards, it can be explosive, but what I'm saying to you is you want to make sure that it's not that. You've got to keep a hold of yourself this week, all right? Especially when it comes to social media. Be careful what you say, be careful what you put out there. Because unfortunately, once it's out there, as we know, like there's no bringing it back. So just be aware that that is floating around, all right? And then, so finally, our collective full moon in Aquarius energy, we've got the Gate 63 and Doubt. And I find this as an interesting card because it usually says when doubt arises, it's because we're postulating on something that hasn't even happened yet. Because we've got this glimpse into the future energy going on, if you're going to imagine or envision the future, envision and imagine the best future that you can have, rather than, oh, you know, but this might happen and I might lose this and I might lose out on that and da-da-da. Like, if you do that to yourself, you're going to create that, right? Especially this week with a powerful full moon going on. That's manifestation energy to bring something into ground. If you're going to sow the seeds of doubt this week, that's what you're going to create more of what you don't want. So you've got to be very conscious, especially around that full moon. All right, with that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it treats you. Let me know how the full moon goes for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.